What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Strength Talk Sunday, where I talk about strength scene related topics pretty much every other week. That looks like that's the direction that this channel is going. I'll be recording a Strength Talk Sunday, posting it one week. The next week I'll take a break, and then the week after that I'll be posting another Strength Talk Sunday. That seems like the flow of this channel anyways. So what are we talking about today? Today we're gonna go into the flow of your training during off season. So off season is basically that time during the year where you're not prepping for any max out, any meet. You're kind of just, you're still training, but you're not in prep mode, you know, if that makes sense. So this may be very applicable to you guys in Brunei, who I know is my main audience of like 50 people. Sad. But anyways, enough of that. It could also be applied to you guys. Maybe if there's anyone from Singapore watching, you guys may have just come off of the Singapore Powerlifting Open, which was held, I think, last weekend, and that was a really fun one. Those 59s, they're pretty strong, especially there's that one sub-junior, I can't remember his name, but he is damn strong. He broke a bunch of sub-junior national records, and I was like, alright, I got some catching up to do. But that's not this video is not about that. But yeah, back to off-season stuff. Maybe this might not be applicable to y'all Malaysians. I know you guys have the Strength Academy Open coming up in, I think, like 2.5 months or something like that. I might be wrong, but yeah. Anyways, off-season, let's just go into a situation. So let's say maybe you've just finished a meet, or you've just done your max out, and I know a lot of lifters have kind of this post-meet blues. Definitely, I've felt it before coming off the meets that I've competed in. You don't want to dwell on those post-meet blues for too long. You want to get back into training. And this could be a little period of time where you can afford to take your foot off the gas a little bit. But keep in mind, don't mistake that with me saying take training easy or, you know, half-ass your training. I'm just trying to say, like, my main point is that training doesn't have to be your top priority at that point in time. So take some time off. You know, you can focus on school, work, family, relationships, or other hobbies. Whatever it is, just delve into it. I know me specifically, after coming off big events, I like to kind of delve into my other hobbies, which, if you've seen my vlog, my room is filled with collectibles. I guess like this is a good example of like Lego Star Wars. I have a bunch of figures here, and then I'm also a bit of an aviation enthusiast, so I have some model planes. But like on that side of the room, I got like a lot more Star Wars stuff. I have Gundam plastic models, I got cars, Beyblades, WWE figures. So like I'm a huge, like, I love collecting stuff. But now I'm just rambling, so let's get back to the topic. So yeah, take your time to kind of balance out your life and make sure that, you know, everything is in check in those other areas. As for your training, like what you want to be doing in training during your off season, this is a really good time for you to test out new things. And, you know, you could maybe even nurse some nagging injuries that may have popped up during meet prep. Really good quote that I heard from the latest 3 White Bells episode. Shout out to them. I'll leave the link up here. I can't remember whether it was Nash or Lynn who said it, but basically the gist of it was work around your injuries and don't push through your pain. I think Nash and Lynn have some really good content up. If you want to check it out, I left the link somewhere up here. But yeah, I'll touch a little bit more on injuries later during the video. But going back to testing out new things, let's say you want to make some technique switches. Maybe, for example, you are a conventional puller and you want to try out sumo, or you squat high bar and you want to try low bar. You bench close grip and you want to widen out your grip. This is the best time to do it, just because you're not prepping for anything. Your training isn't like at the top of your list. You don't need everything to be on point, so you can use this time to, you know, to learn new things, get that learning curve in, to set you up for the long run. So, you know, you don't have to worry too much about specificity. For powerlifters, specificity being squat, bench, deadlift. So yeah, don't be afraid to change your training style up a bit, and you can put a bit more emphasis on other things maybe, for example, you want to kind of emphasize the bodybuilding aspect of training, or what I feel like is more important, your general all-around health. So you can always take your time to improve that during your off-season. And you know, volume can be a lot higher. You don't need to worry about how much weight you're putting on the bar. I guess what I'm trying to get at with off-season training and the flow of your off-season training is that this should be the time where you're building your foundation, you're refining your technique, you're finding out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and you're just trying to create a strong base to work off of for your next meet prep. And now going back to the injury portion of this video. When you're injured, my best advice is to not stop training entirely. If you can train other areas, do it. Just to give you guys a scenario, let's go back to April of this year, April 2021, when I had an injury from playing football, an ankle injury specifically. Football being soccer, if you're from the US, which I highly doubt because my viewership is very... viewership? I don't know what I'm trying to say. There's not a lot of people that watch my videos, and I highly doubt that there's anyone in the US that watches my videos, but just in case, soccer, football, soccer. Yeah, I had an ankle injury and I couldn't squat or deadlift simply because when I went into dorsiflexion, which is, let's say this is my foot, I know this is my hand, pretend it's my foot. So if this is my foot and this is the ground, if I went into dorsiflexion, which is your foot going like that and the angle of your shin kind of closing in, that's dorsiflexion, it would trigger pain. And if I went into extension, which is like, this is my foot and I go like that, it would trigger pain. So because of that, I couldn't squat or deadlift. However, did I stop training entirely? No, I did not. I kept training, but I trained what I could. So I could still bench, maybe not bench. I could still do Larsen presses, and I could still do my upper body movements, which, you know, they could be, maybe I could still row, I could still do pull-ups, I could do curls, or, you know, rear delt flies or whatever it was. Upper body accessories, they were fine, I could still do them. And for lower body, I had to find a way to take my foot out of the equation when I trained legs. What leg movements could I do without ankle dorsiflexion or extension? For hamstrings, easy, hamstring curls. For my quads, leg extensions. So that's what I did. And I think, if anything, constantly moving just helped to speed up my recovery process. It has been scientifically proven that keeping blood flow through the area and staying active without aggravating the injury and making it worse can help speed up the recovery process. And along with that, I think what's more important is it helps lifters mentally, because I know a lot of us, you know, fitness junkies or whatever you want to call it, we like to be in the gym, we like to stay moving, we like sticking to a routine. And I feel like continuing your training despite the injury is going to help you mentally, because again, going back to lifters like to be in the gym and they like training. Because you're still in the gym and you're still training what you can still get that kind of sense of normalcy, because you're still moving, you're still sticking to routine, you're still on your schedule, you're still showing up to the gym, training, and, you know, improving day in, day out. So what I like to do with my athletes who are literally, I found out have a very clean injury record, maybe except for Mickey with the shoulder, but I texted, you know, quite a few of my current and past athletes, and I was like, yo, can you guys recall any injuries that you had while working with me? And they're like, nope. And then I look back at their training footage and I'm like, yeah, they have a pretty clean injury record. But let's say one of my athletes did get injured. So obviously I coach powerlifters, but basically I would say, if you can't do one of the main movements in a powerlifter's book, this would be squat, bench, deadlift. Look at doing variations of them that don't trigger that injured area. So a way I like to look at this is, I have this thing, well, there's this thing called the spectrum of specificity, which I got from Alan Thrall. I'll leave the link to that video here as well, and also down in the description below. But basically, the spectrum of specificity is gonna have a bunch of different tiers. So your top tier are your main competition movements: competition squat, competition bench press, competition deadlift. right under those you'll have, so let's stick with one lift just to make it simple for now. So if you have competition bench press, that's the top tier, that is your competition movement. Under that, the tier below it, you're gonna have maybe, let's say, a 2 count pause bench press. That's similar to the movement, but you're pausing for 2 seconds. And then a tier below that, you would have something like close grip bench press or Larson presses, which is basically feet up bench, if you didn't know that. And then as you go down again, another tier down, maybe you'll have incline bench press or something like that. And then below that, you'll have overhead press. So you can kind of see a pattern. You're going less specific, less specific, less specific, until you get down to the bottom, which is where you're training your individual muscle groups that help in the bench press, which would be your chest, your delts, your triceps. So that is basically, in short, a very brief summary of the spectrum of specificity. Just to go back, let's give a scenario. So let's say you're injured, you injured your lower back and you can't deadlift. Try doing a 2-inch block pull. If that still triggers pain, try a 3-inch block, 4-inch block, 5-inch block, whatever it is. And if any of those movements still trigger pain, go down that spectrum of specificity. And if none of those movements work, then you're gonna want to look into training the individual muscle groups. So when you're deadlifting, you want to maintain your back and grip strength, you want to maintain your hamstrings and your glutes, so basically your posterior chain. So let's say if you want to keep your grip and back strength, I would recommend you do pull-ups or rows. Hamstrings, you could do hamstring curls. Glutes, you could still do maybe cable pull-throughs if it doesn't trigger your lower back pain. Or if you can, glute ham raises have always been like S-tier accessories for me. I love those. So basically what I'm trying to get at is, with injuries, you kind of have to feel it out and figure it out for yourself. What movements trigger pain and what movements don't trigger pain. And the ones that don't trigger pain, that's what you want to do. And over time, you want to slowly reintroduce the main movement, but you want to do it with a reasonable load and intensity. In other words, do it at a lower RPE. I would say don't even do an RPE 6. Start lower than a 6, because you don't want to end up kind of messing up and re-aggravating that injury too quickly. Actually, you don't want to re-aggravate that injury at all. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, the mindset that you want to go into it, an injury with, is you want to take recovering as seriously as you would your regular training, and definitely you're going to see your recovery process speed up. But you don't want to rush. You got to be patient with your injury and your recovery phase. You need to be able to trust the process. Shout out to Ming and his home gym wall with that trust the process on his wall. But again, rambling, let's go back. So yeah, don't rush the process. Be patient with your injury and just take what you can at that point in time. You don't want to force anything. You don't want to re-aggravate the injury and make it worse. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I have to say. I hope you guys could take something away from this video. I feel like this video may be a bit more helpful compared to my previous Strength Talk Sundays. So if you liked the video, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for watching this week's Strength Talk Sunday. Remember, stay on the grind, keep grinding. I'm out.
You can take my soul, but you can't take